My name is Yemmy. If you're new here, welcome. I want to say thank you to all my returning subscribers. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching and also for sharing my videos. So, I want us to talk about how we can eat healthy or how to eat healthy. And I'm also going to give us some practical tips, at least the tips that I use to help me eat healthy. If you are interested, continue to watch on. First, you want to plan. And you want to plan your meal and your snacks. Most times people would plan their meals, but they don't plan their snacks. And what would happen with that is you might have a healthy meal, but then since you don't have a plan for your snacks, that means that you would just eat whatever you find. So plan your meals and also plan your snacks as much as possible. For you to plan, you really need to know what food options are available to you. So for me, I look at the things that I enjoy and I want to include in my meal or in my diet. I don't want to say the word diet to mean that I'm dieting, but in my meals and the food that I eat. So I look at the foods that are available to me. Most times, part of what is included in what I eat from day to day, I consume a lot of tubers. So potatoes, sweet potato, Irish potato, just your regular potatoes. I also do squash. I do a lot of vegetables, different types of greens that I use, and also a lot of grains as well. And of course, legumes. So, legumes in terms of beans, lentils. So, look at what you have available around you. Because if you start making a plan for, say, burger wheat, and you don't have burger wheat around you, then it doesn't make sense. So look around you, look at the healthy options that you have. Your grocery store that you go to, just take a tour around it and look at the different types of healthy options that you can have at that store. Part of your planning should what I call a food timetable, where you have your breakfast and you have your lunch and also you have your dinner as well. And then in between you decide when do you want to have a snack. So snacking is not just something that you should just do randomly. You should be mindful about when and how you snacks. So make sure that when you're writing down your timetable or your food timetable, that you also have a plan for snacking as well. For me, for breakfast, I usually don't eat breakfast, so I would say like maybe brunch. Sometime in the mid morning, I would have my herbal tea, and of course, in that herbal tea, I have my honey in it, no sugar, of course. And in the afternoon, sometime going around maybe 2 or 3 p.m., I would then have my lunch. So for lunch, I could have like, quinoa and whatever vegetable of the week that I'm having at that time. And also after lunch, most times I feel like, just having something sweet, because most times my lunch is savory and I want something sweet. So I could do like a cracker, or most times I eat a lot of nuts. I'll have some nuts as well, and in between drink a lot of water before dinner time. You want to fill your home with healthy options, because if you see it, then you will eat it. For you to fill your home with healthy options, then get rid of all the bad options around you. And part of filling your home with healthy options is, the first thing I would say is sugar. Get rid of sugar, get rid of sugar. And that includes processed foods. So, foods that are processed, you want to reduce that as much as possible, because if you look at the labels of most of the processed foods, they're very, very high in sugar. Of course, things like sodas, you should not even consider that. Maybe for, during occasions. I know for myself, this past Thanksgiving, I drank maybe half a Sprite. So, yeah, it doesn't mean that, you're not going to have those things, but you want to reduce them very, very drastically. I exchange, your usual refined sugar for brown or cane sugar, and also raw honey. And for me to do that, I've come a long way, because I've got a sweet tooth. I love sweet things. So, but I've been able to train myself. I started really gradually, and I started reducing sugar, in my foods, in my meals, as much as I could. And I'm at a point where processed food is really reduced in what I eat. And also, I use honey most of the time. If I can't do honey, or if I don't want to do honey, I do the cane sugar, which is the original form of sugar. So, yeah, you want to get rid of sugar away from your house as much as possible. You also want to replace white with brown. So whatever you have in your house that is white, replace with brown. And what does that mean? Your white bread, your white rice, your white pasta, replace it with brown, which means, most times it's whole grain or wheat. Those are better options for you. Usually, anything white would increase your triglycerides, and triglycerides are part of your cholesterol levels. So, filling your home with healthy options, you want to avoid saturated fats. Saturated fats in the place of margarines and butters. Some using deep frying the vegetable oils. It does, like, I use vegetable oil, but very, very, very sparingly. Most times it's either 1 teaspoon or 1 tablespoon, or I'm just spraying it on. So anything that will make you deep fry, you want to avoid that. Use your air fryer. By now you should have an air fryer. Use your air fryer as much as you can, because the air fryer doesn't need oil as much, at all. You could just spray a little bit of oil in whatever it is that you put in your air fryer. So I encourage you, avoid saturated fats. Use your air fryer, because that would help you to avoid saturated fats. Shop whatever fruits that you have in season. You want to fill your home with fruits, as many as you can, because the more fruits you have around you, the more you would eat it, right? Most times, a lot of people will buy fruits and just leave it on the table, and the fruits would go bad without eating. And I think part of that problem, for me in the past, is the fact that, I might not just be in the mood for mangoes, and really it's just mangoes that you have in the in season. But what you can start doing is, once you buy your fruits, you want to refrigerate them. You can just divide it into parts. The ones you want to eat fresh, or the ones that you're going to eat fresh, eat them fresh. If you know you bought a lot that could go bad, then you want to prep them too. Prep your fruits as much as you can. So you cut them into bite pieces. If you're going to eventually use them for smoothie, which I highly recommend, is you put them and package them. You can put them in a Ziploc and put them in the freezer. You can put them in containers that would help you keep them for a long time. But don't just leave your fruits on the table. Buy your fruits and prep your fruits. And when you're buying your fruits, have an idea of what you want to use your fruits for. For example, like I said, you could juice your fruits. So for me, when I juice my fruits, I like to juice them in colors. So I could do my pineapple and my orange together, or I could do my celery and my apples together. So plan what you want to use your fruits for before going for the fruit shopping. And if you guys want to know how and the recipes that I use for my fruits juicing, please put a comment in the comment section for me. You want to eat more vegetables? Yes, open up your options. For me, before now, I would just eat, like, your usual green vegetable, but I started just experimenting with different types of vegetables. I enjoy going to the grocery store and looking at the different vegetables that they have, especially the Asian stores. There are tons of different vegetables when you go to the Asian stores. You can give this different vegetables a try. You never know, you might like some of them. My go-to vegetable is the bok choy. I love baby spinach, of course. I like kale. I like arugula. And I also try some new Asian vegetables like the yu choy I've talked about before. I really like that vegetable. The Korean spinach is one of the ones that I'm looking to try very soon. So there's so many options of what we could do in terms of vegetables. And what that helps you with looking at different options is that it keeps you from being bored, because most times some people feel that eating healthy is very boring. There are no varieties, but there's so many different varieties. What you need to do is you have to become adventurous in your eating as well. And it doesn't mean that adventurous you just eat, junk or whatever, but open yourself more to options that might not necessarily be from your culture. How you prep your food matters. How you prepare your food matters. I just talked about vegetables now. With your vegetables, of course, you don't want to do a recipe that will cook out all the nutrients. Vegetables are well preserved when you cook them in such a way that the colors are still intact. So if you have a green vegetable, by the time you're done cooking it, it shouldn't be dark. It should still be very, very green. Because what it means when it becomes dark is that all the nutrient has been sucked out of it. So make sure that you're prepping your vegetables in the right way. For me, I steam my vegetables, I stir fry it. And most times when I stir fry my vegetables, they're usually the last thing that I put in. And with the green vegetables, most times they cook very easily. So if you put them very early on when you start cooking, it just sucks out all the nutrients for you, and it's not as crunchy as you would like them. So make sure that when you're cooking your vegetable, you're not overcooking your vegetables. Roast your tubers, roast your vegetables, like your starchy vegetables, your sweet potatoes, your Irish potatoes. I keep saying that because I use them a lot, and I find that they have very low calories. So compared to your, say, African yam, they have very low calories, and those help a good part of my diet right now. Because initially when I started going vegan, I was hungry all the time, and that was because I was running away from like the sweet potatoes or the I just from the potatoes really. So and I wasn't even including something like the butternut squash. Right now, the butternut squash is a big part of what I eat. It's very filling. You have different varieties and ways that you can make it. So roast your vegetables. When you roast your vegetables, it tastes better. It brings out the taste and it makes it more enjoyable. So roast your vegetables versus boiling. You can boil it if you want to, but for me, I like when I roast it, it tastes a lot better. And when you're prepping your meals, you want to use more spice. I use a lot of fresh herbs. The fresh herbs just has a way of putting this authentic taste to whatever you are making. So for you to prep your spices, part of what you can do is you can turn them into cubes. What do I mean by that? You chop them up and put it into the ice trays, put a little bit of water in it, and put it in the freezer. Once it's frozen, then you bring them out, put them in the Ziploc, and keep them in the freezer. And whenever you need to cook, you just bring out maybe 1 or 2 cubes and use them for whatever you need to use them for. That would help them to keep for at least a month or 2 months from what I have found out. So the other thing also is portion control. When it comes to healthy eating, we have to look at the portions that we eat. We just cannot, eat and eat a big bowl and plate. Be mindful of the portions that you consume. So think of portion control as much as you can. Portion control, portion control. It is very, very, very important. And I emphasize that because for me, in our culture, most times when we eat, we just eat with a bowl, and if it's rice, you put rice and you put vegetables, and we're not even looking at how much of that we're consuming. But if you're gonna be eating mindfully, make sure that you are looking at the portion that you are eating. So I hope that we'll be eating more healthy this year. If this is helpful to you, let me know. If you're going to make any changes, let me know. And I am going to put a link for my food timetable, or just a food timetable that you can build on, in the description box. And I'm also going to put a list of my grocery shopping list in the description box for you guys as well. You can build on that. If there's anything that you enjoy that is healthy that I've not mentioned, please put it in the comment section for me. That is it for me, guys. Leave me a comment. How are you planning to eat healthy in this new year? If there's anything that you find helpful that I've not mentioned, please do not hesitate to share with me. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.